What does someone write when the kidnapping plan falls apart and the 84-year-old woman they took is no longer breathing? Not a threat, not another ransom demand. An apology letter. It said Nancy had died from a heart problem, that they never meant to hurt her, that she is buried in nature now, and that they were truly sorry. That letter exists. The FBI has it. Together with the first ransom note, it became one of the most important documents in this entire case. Today, we are going to read both letters carefully. We will look at the language the way an expert would. We will examine what the FBI actually did, and we will understand why, after 192 days, this case is being treated as a possible no-body murder, with official sources, without speculation, with the respect that Nancy Guthrie and her family deserve. Let's begin. Before we go any further, one important thing. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you have been following this case since February, you already know we do not do surface-level coverage. We go deep, we cite everything, and we never invent. If this kind of careful analysis is useful to you, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and if you know someone who has been following Nancy's story, share this video with them right now. The information today is too important to miss. Now let's start. Nancy Ellen Guthrie was 84 years old. She was the mother of Savannah Guthrie, co-host of the Today Show. She lived alone in the Catalina foothills near Tucson, Arizona. She was independent, she walked to church, she had dinner with her family regularly, she had a pacemaker. Savannah once described her mother's heart as fragile. On the evening of January 31st, 2026, her son-in-law dropped her off at home after dinner. He watched her go inside. The garage door closed. That was the last time anyone saw Nancy Guthrie as a free woman. At 2:28 in the morning on February 1st, the pacemaker app lost connection with her phone. The Nest doorbell camera captured a masked man, approximately 5'9" to 5'10", average build, carrying a black Ozark Trail backpack and a firearm. He tried to cover the camera with branches from the garden. In earlier footage, the same man appears without the backpack. He had been there before. He had studied the location. He came back prepared. As of August 11, 2026, no suspect has been publicly identified. No related arrests have been made. No remains have been found. More than 50,000 tips have come in. The total reward now stands at over $1.2 million. The family was officially cleared early on. They are victims. On July 31st, 2026, the Pima County Sheriff's Department released the full text of both letters. The February 2nd letter said she is safe but scared. It demanded $4 million in Bitcoin. If payment was late, the amount rose to $6 million. It threatened to kill her by 5 p.m. on February 9th. It included specific details from inside the house, the white smartwatch on the floor, and the broken backyard floodlight. Short sentences, direct language, control, and pressure. The word "we" appears from the very beginning. The clear strategy was to prove they had been inside the home. The February 6th letter said, "We did not fully grasp the seriousness of her physical condition. We never intended to hurt her. She perished shortly after she was taken. We believe it was heart-related. She is buried in nature now. We are truly sorry." A complete change of tone in only 4 days. Longer, more complex sentences, words of justification and regret appear. The deliberate choice of the word perished instead of died. The phrase buried in nature is unusual and almost literary. The first letter seeks power. The second letter seeks to reduce responsibility. Both use "we." That rapid shift in tone is one of the elements linguistic analysts have focused on most closely. The sheriff released the letters because the writing style itself might be recognizable to someone who knows the author. This is a local case, but the FBI became involved because it is a kidnapping for ransom with possible interstate elements. What the FBI has done is significant. They recovered the Nest camera images by working directly with Google. They are analyzing the mixed DNA at Quantico and other laboratories. They offered a $100,000 reward. They continue to track the Bitcoin trail. Then came the public tension in May of 2026. FBI Director Kash Patel stated on Sean Hannity's podcast that the Pima County Sheriff kept the FBI out of the investigation for the first 4 days. He said they had a plane ready to fly the DNA evidence to Quantico that same night. Sheriff Chris Nanos responded that a member of the FBI task force was already at the scene on the night of February 1st and that coordination began without delay. This kind of friction between local and federal agencies is common in high-profile cases. The first 48 hours are critical. Any delay can cost evidence that can never be recovered. I want to pause here for a moment. We have looked carefully at both letters and the change in tone. We have looked at the tension between the FBI and the sheriff. Now I want your view. Do you believe these letters were written by the same person who took Nancy, or could they have been written by someone who only had information? Write your opinion in the comments, yes or no, and tell me why. That conversation is going to be interesting, and if this analysis is useful to you, a like helps more people see it. It really does make a difference. Let's continue. The idea that no body means no case is a myth. A study published in the Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology in 2019 examined 273 no-body murder cases in the United States between 1970 and 2018. 62% ended in conviction. Digital evidence was decisive in 45% of those cases, witness statements in 38%, crime scene evidence without remains in 31%. The Guthrie case has all three categories: the doorbell video, statements from the last people who saw her alive, Nancy's confirmed blood on the porch, and unidentified DNA. Veteran prosecutor Tad DiBiase, known as the no-body homicide guy, has said publicly that this case could go to trial even if her remains are never found, if the circumstantial narrative is built carefully. The problem he himself pointed out is important. Cadaver dog searches were called off only 5 weeks after she disappeared. That decision can leave room for reasonable doubt in a future trial. Why the person who wrote those letters may have done so. The first letter was about control and money. The second letter, only 4 days later, was about reducing responsibility. That rapid shift often appears when a perpetrator realizes the victim has died and the original plan has completely collapsed. Choosing an elderly woman who lived alone and had a known heart condition fits a clear pattern of selecting a victim who is less likely to resist and more vulnerable to medical crisis under extreme stress. The fact that the same person or group returned to the house earlier without the backpack shows planning. The apology letter itself creates a paper trail and a linguistic fingerprint that investigators are now actively using. Why this case can still be solved: clear video of the suspect exists. Specific details from inside the house appear in the first letter. Mixed DNA continues to be analyzed with advancing technology. Bitcoin transactions never disappear from the blockchain. More than 50,000 tips create high information density. Why it has not been solved yet. The critical first 48 hours were affected by coordination issues between local and federal agencies. The DNA sample is complex. No body has been recovered. The perpetrator showed signs of preparation and deliberate efforts to limit evidence left behind. The hair sample produced no usable DNA profile. The mixed DNA, possibly from 4 or more people, remains under analysis at multiple laboratories, including Quantico. Forensic genealogist C.C. Moore has noted that technologies used in the Gilgo Beach case can still extract results from difficult samples. Every Bitcoin transaction is permanently recorded. Specialized firms continue to track movements. The National Institute of Justice documented in 2022 that cases with more than 40,000 tips resolve at higher rates due to information density. The community video portal remains open. Investigators believe relevant footage may still be out there waiting to be found. 192 days. There is an apology letter. There is a complete change of tone in only 4 days. There is documented tension between the FBI and the sheriff. There is DNA still being analyzed, and there is a legal path under American law to prosecute this case, even if the body is never found. Nancy Guthrie was 84 years old. She lived alone because she chose to. The blood on her porch tells us that when someone came for her in the dark, she did not go quietly. She fought. If you have any information, please call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. That is 1-800-2255324. Pima County Sheriff, 520-3514900. Anonymous Tip Line, 88 Crime, 520-882-7463. The reward is more than $1.2 million. Thank you for staying until the end of a heavy video. I know 30 minutes on a case like this asks a lot. It asks a lot of me to research and present it with the care it deserves, but Nancy Guthrie deserves this level of attention, and so do you, as an audience that wants real analysis instead of empty reaction. If this is the kind of coverage you want to see more of, please subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to see it. MX True Crime thanks you from the heart for being here. Take care of yourselves. See you on the next one.